go the same way, you can go the same direction opposite, you can go different angles, but you could also hold one forehand, one reverse, this way. So somebody who's knife fighting, if they come in and they're really angry at you, can't imagine why anybody would be angry at me, but if it happened where they were really angry and they come lunging in, you're going to shift and block, and then this one goes, shoop, right under the chin, because remember that long spike? And out the top. Mazel tov!
You watch a few too many horror movies, dear.
Maybe.
Just a few.
We have a Netflix account, and you can get, if you have Netflix, you can have like 5 user accounts. So my son and his girlfriend also are on Netflix. So we have one list because I'm not smart enough to set up separate profiles. So they've got all their anime cartoons and their TV shows, Arrested Development and Mean Girls, and then there is every horror movie on Netflix library at all. I've watched all of them. And I get the weirdest text messages from them going, I can't believe you just watched this. And I have to text them back and say, I can't believe I watched it either. It was terrible. Both times. But if somebody's really angry and they come flying in, you're going right there, under the chin. And if you've taken knife training at all, you know the first thing you learn is to tuck your chin. You have to protect yourself from bad things happening. And so that's where you get the actual knife fighter that knows on the lunge, your weight transfers forwards to about 70-75%, but you keep your chin tucked. With the comma, that really doesn't matter. Strike comes in here, and you're going right there. Right under the bottom of the rib cage and up. Because from right here, even on somebody 6'7", ladies, you know how they say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach? Sometimes it is.
There's another one, though.
What?
There's another one.
We were going to skip that one.
No, we weren't. This is the fun one.
There's a fun one.
All right. If you train in an empty hand art like Taekwondo or Karate and they introduce weapons to you, a lot of times, because your instructor doesn't want to mess with your stance and your balance on things, they won't change your footwork. They'll keep it the same as empty hand. And if you learn how to attack with a knife that way, you keep your weight back, settled more on the back leg. And that protects your chin and your sternum. So it seems like a really good idea. But when that attack comes in then, you're going here.
Block and low. And then up. Okay, maybe these can be fun.
You made every maid in the room great.
For the record, if you're going to kill me in combat, please just put it here.
When you hit the femoral artery down there, they're not going to...
Exactly. Ride it up the inside of the femur.
Maybe we should focus on a non-bladed weapon.
Probably a good plan.
The comma, obviously it was a farm tool, and it was really, really effective for close-range combat. The thing it didn't do, it wasn't effective for long range. Somebody carrying a sword, because you have very limited reach, that's only like 10.5 inches past where your hand is, and it's not sharp on this side, so it didn't work very well for somebody using a sword, and it also didn't work well to defend your homestead against somebody who's on horseback. So what farmers did, if somebody was riding a horse and trying to mess with the farm, throw torches on the barn, those kinds of things, what they did, you see comma frequently that have a little loop on the end. That was to tie a rope to, or a short chain. And now it's a ninja weapon. You see that in the movies all the time. They've got the chain with the little weight in this end, and the comma in this one, it's the Manriki Gusari now. And you bring it around, and you always see that. That's the ninja like this, squaring off with a samurai on foot. The reason why they put the chain on it wasn't to fight people on foot, it was for people on horseback, because you couldn't reach them very well. So what the farmer would do is tie a rope around the end, hold the other end in his hand, and go this way, over the top, and then throw it. Didn't have to be accurate. If you got the loop correct, when you threw it, all it had to do was go past and above the person on horseback. And from right here, holding the end of the rope, you'd go past, and as soon as it went past their shoulder, you would yank the rope down. So that as this flipped forwards, you would yank it back. And the goal was to stick this right between their shoulder blades and drag them off the horse. So while that's going on, and the farmers go, wah, yank it down. Bad guy comes off the horse on the ground, wife and kids come running out and go. Farmer takes the horse back to the barn, and we have gained livestock. So it actually worked out well. It wasn't for the close quarters combat or fighting against somebody on foot, because if you threw it and didn't hit them, you're basically left trying to reel this thing back in while the guy's coming up and chopping your head off. But it leads to the chain question, because everybody knows about the chain. And if you buy these in martial arts catalogs, it's called the Manriki, the chain of 1,000 strengths. I have no idea what that means, but it's in all the brochures. Chain of 1,000 strengths. This was actually, for all that it's kind of an underrated weapon, ridiculously common and popular in Japan, not just with the ninja, and not just with peasants, but with the samurai as well. Remember their outfits, and I realized we had to check out of our hotel room today too, so I'm not dressed in my normal little samurai outfit. So pretend I'm wearing a skirt and an obi, the Japanese belt. For fashion, for men's fashion, the obi was between 4 and 6 inches in width. For women's fashion, it was 10, 12 inches. I mean, basically it was a wraparound corset. But for men's fashion, it's a 4-inch belt. So what you did to make yourself a self-defense weapon, you would take a chain and you would cut it to length. Had to be long enough to go around your waist, and then just loop the ends like this. And this would tuck into the back of the hakama, and you tuck the belt, or the chain, inside the obi. Did 2 things for it. Number 1, it meant you couldn't see it. And number 2, being inside the fabric kept the links from clicking together, so you couldn't hear it anymore, which also disguised it. And when a bad guy came flying out and tried to attack you, especially if they had a sword or a stick, pretending to be a sword, you didn't go, no, because this is the wrong way to defend a sword. Instead of reaching out, you'd reach behind you, just inside the flap on the hakama, and you'd get a hold of the weighted ends in each hand and pull this forwards out of the belt like this, and you have a flexible shield. It's not going to hold up to repeated sword strikes, because remember, it's flexible, and with enough force, she's going to collapse that guard, and I'm not even going to let her demonstrate that. You can keep that, well, get the knife. It's easier. You have a flexible shield that also does really cool things. Bad guy attacks with a knife, and you're going to block. You don't want the blade. If you can get the wrist, you do. And then shift, wrap it up. Now I've restrained her with the weapon. Sorry, I'm enthusiastic in my work. I love my job. But because it's flexible, did you notice when I brought it forwards, how I wrapped the first link around I made brass knuckles. So while I have the knife under control, we're now bargaining. Let's talk.